Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday. That means it's time for a Q&A. Now, that's where I take all of the questions that you've asked me over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, if you've never seen a Q&A before, a couple of things that you need to know. First of all, I never read the questions beforehand. I like to be spontaneous when I answer the questions. So when I read them out in the actual Q&A, that's the first time that I actually read them. If, however, I think it's worthy of a meaty kind of answer, I'll do a separate video on it at a separate time. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you should be aware of is that I film these videos on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's currently 6 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, which means that if you want to get the questions definitely answered by me, you need to get them in by sort of Tuesday at the very, very latest, to guarantee having the questions answered, especially going into December. December is going to be very busy for me, and I'm going to be filming at kind of very strange hours to make sure I fit it around the various different gigs and things that I'm doing. If I miss your question, I'm very, very sorry. I promise I'll get to it the following week. So, one more time, thank you very much for all of the questions that you asked. This whole thing on a Sunday lives and dies by you guys interacting with this channel and asking questions. And if you didn't ask any questions, I'd just be sitting here twiddling my thumbs every Sunday. So thank you very much to every single person that's asked a question. And without further ado, let's get into this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is Stuart Etheridge. Hey Stuart, how you doing? I hope you are well, my friend. Let's see. First a comment. Given how much we can achieve via Zoom, I don't think there's any doubt Matt will learn more than anyone could wish for in person. Obviously, the videos will be edited for entertainment value and with due respect for protecting methods, absolutely. Anyway, my question. In a walk-around environment, if you had pocket space for 2 Gaffed decks, which would you pick and why? Man, that's a difficult question, because I like so many Gaffed decks. There's so many different things that I do. And if you see, yeah, I've talked about it before, where I've got multiple close-up cases that I take to gigs. And each one of those close-up cases is filled with different types of Gaffed decks. And literally, on a gig-by-gig basis, I changed them around. So I did a close-up job a couple of days ago, and I think I had an invisible deck and a mirage deck. And then the gig before, I'm pretty sure I had a stick pack, which is on my Vanishing Ink Masterclass, and I had a quantum deck. And the week before, I had a stripper deck. I mean, I don't think I can pick 2. If I had to pick 2 that I could only do for the rest of my life, I think it would have to be... definitely a quantum deck. It'd be a quantum deck, and it would be a mirage deck, I think, maybe. A quantum deck and a mirage deck. But I would hate to be in that situation where I had to pick what I like. And this is just me, and I know not everybody's like that. I know there's lots of people out there that have that same 5 or 6 tricks that they do for the rest of their life, and that's cool. I really love magic, and I love performing magic, and I love learning new magic, and I love creating new magic, and I love actually changing my set around. I would get bored senseless if I did the same thing over and over again, gig after gig after gig. So I like changing stuff around. People say, oh, you've got a big repertoire. It's just I love performing different types of magic, and I get bored doing the same thing. So I wouldn't like to get tied down to the same 2 trick decks over and over again. But I would say quantum deck and mirage deck. However, on that subject, you know, some people that are purists would never use a Gaffed deck, and that's their decision, and that's absolutely fine, and that's cool and well and good, and so on and so forth. My attitude is I owe it to my audience to do the best possible performance that I can do. Now, if I can do a trick with a regular deck without using Gaffs at all, and I can make it as strong as using a Gaffed deck, then great. But a lot of the time you can't. A lot of the time, a Gaffed deck will simply produce effects that you cannot achieve in any other way. And for that reason and that reason only, that's why I love Gaffed decks, because it allows you to do stuff that you can't do with regular sleight of hand. And I believe in doing I believe in taking the simplest approach to a method. Now, simple doesn't necessarily mean easy. So, for example, if I'm going to control a card, a lot of the time, the simplest method is to use a pass. It's not the easiest method, but it's the simplest method. But then there's other times where the simplest method is to do something that's self-working, or do something that uses a gaff. I don't like using a sleight for sleight's sake. I like using a sleight when that's the best possible use for that sleight. But there you go, that's going off into another tangent. I'd say Quantum Deck and the Mirage deck. Okay, so the next question is Mediocre Magus, or Magus, and Mediocre Magus says, "Hey Craig, lovely video as usual, thank you. I recently purchased Die-abolical Bet by Nicholas Lawrence at Penguin as part of their Black Friday promotion. I have to say, I'm really let down and honestly feel ripped off. It went into the bin after 2 days. Have you seen or purchased the effect? I have purchased it, I haven't seen it. I'm really looking forward to your input and I hope you do a review." Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely do a review of it. I mean, Nicholas has some great stuff on the market. I can't review it right now because I haven't got it, right? But one thing I will say is Nicholas has got some great stuff on the market and he's created some absolute miracles over the years. However, there has been some stuff that I haven't been as impressed with. The thing with the deck of cards through Sans Mines, not Sans Mines, the other brothers company, whatever it is. I can't remember. The other brothers company, they had that deck of cards where there's a single card and then the deck appears. I just didn't like that. Also, the only trick in recent memory that I really didn't like from Penguin was a Nicholas Lawrence trick where the X's were in the corners and then they all went into the same corner like a matrix. I mean, I looked at that and I was like, that's just not going to fool the blind monkey. So there is some stuff that he's brought out that's not very good. I can't comment on this. I think he is very creative though, but yes, I am going to do an interview and you've got my interest peaked now if you've said that. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. Okay, so the next question is from Warren Treadaway. And Warren says, "Hey Craig, great show as always." Thank you, Warren. You mentioned Mazel magazine where you published your easy cards across routine. Yes, I did. 2 questions. Do you plan on releasing it over to the Netrix? And do you have a link for the magazine as I couldn't find it? Thanks. Very good questions. Number 1, yes, it is going on to the Netrix. It's going on this next upload. I've got some cracking stuff going up on this week's upload. There's going to be some stuff by other people. We're really trying to over-deliver at the moment and like put more than the 5 that we promised. Like last week we did 7 and the Sleight School and some stuff on the business side of things for silver level. This week I think we're aiming to do about 6 or 7 again, minimum. And that easy cards across routine will be on there, as well as my personal collector's routine. I love collectors, and people have been asking me to publish my collector's routine, which I love performing. And yeah, that's going to go up on there on the upload as well. But the easy cards across, which is self-working, and it's one of my favourite cards across routines, that will be going up onto the Netrix on the next upload, which I think is a week on Monday. In terms of Mazel magazine, just Google Mazel magazine, Preston Nyman. Just Google Mazel magazine, Preston Nyman. If Michael is editing this, Michael, can you put a link to Mazel magazine's website at the bottom of the screen? As I'm doing this, hopefully, if Michael's been listening in the edit, he will have a little banner here that gives you the URL. If not, he's not been listening. But it's well worth buying. It's only bi-monthly, I think. And I publish a lot of stuff in there that's never seen the light of day before. There's a lot of other things. There's a lot of other tricks in there. It's a very underground magazine, and it's well worth picking up. So go check out Mazel magazine. But yeah, in terms of easy cards across, that's definitely going up on the Netrix. Okay, so the next question is from Hungry and Hungover, and Hungry and Hungover says, "Hey Craig, what are your thoughts on the mystery card effect? I've been using John Gustafero's Mr. E Takes a Stroll as a follow-up to Jay Sankey's Back in Time and It Kills. Wondering if you enjoy that type of effect. Paul Gordon has the effect as well, has a version as well, and so does Jack Carpenter. I think it's awesome for any deck and no gimmicks." Yeah, man, I love the mystery card plot. In fact, if you look at my routine Back Off, which is one of my favourite routines to perform, that has a mystery card built into it at the end. I mean, for me, my favourite mystery card is still the original mystery card by Brother John Hammond. And if you don't know the original mystery card by Brother John Hammond, and this is a deck of cards that's full, which it's not, there don't seem to be 4 aces here, so let's try the kings. I will briefly show you the mystery card by Brother John Hammond. It's brilliant. So he took out a 4 of a kind. In this case, the 4 kings. And for my money, there's been lots of mystery cards that have been published. I still think that this is the best. So I'm going to pop the kings over there for a minute. And the idea is that you're going to take out a mystery card. A card that's a complete mystery that nobody knows other than you. So do me a favor, just say stop. And they say stop, and you say, okay, this is going to be a mystery card. The reason it's a mystery card is because nobody knows what it is. And that's going to go there. And then you'd spread the deck face up and you'd have somebody pick a card. So let's go for the 7 of clubs, and they would sign that card. Now, what I like about this is that the rest of the deck goes away at this point. So all you've got are the kings, the sign card, and the mystery card. And then you say, the idea is really simple. I'm going to take your 7, and I'm going to pop it right here in between the kings, and I want you to see that, and they push it in, and it really is there in between the kings. Now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, and you say that you're going to make the the 7 vanish, and you just literally turn over the packet and you snap your fingers, and when you do, you show that you've only got 4 kings now, and that their card has completely and totally and utterly vanished. And you go, oh my gosh, that's amazing, that's brilliant, that's the best trick you've ever seen. And you go, well, the question is, where is the 7? And you point out that mystery card's been there the whole time. And you say, look, I don't want to touch it. I'm going to use the kings to pick it up. I'm going to hold it at the tips of my fingers. I want you to turn it over. And they turn it over themselves. And when they do, that's the signed 7. For me, that's still one of the best mystery card plots out there. Now, it's slightly different to how Brother John Hammond did it. I used an Elmsley count to vanish the signed card, while he had this really cool, awesome count to vanish it. But for me, for my money, that's still the best mystery card that there is. Simply because everything, there's no convolution, everything's kind of out of the way. If you think about it, it's broken down to in its smallest common denominator, which is you put the 4 kings to one side, and they're meant to be aces, but whatever. But you put the 4 cards to one side, you have a mystery card picked, which is there from the very beginning, and then they have a free choice of any card, which they sign. The card vanishes, and it becomes the mystery card. And I think the problem with a lot of mystery cards that are created is there's a lot of convolution there. There's a lot of moving parts. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Brother John Hammond that created the whole concept of the mystery card. And I think that he nailed it. And I think it's very difficult to actually get to a point where it's anything that's as strong as that. So that's my thoughts on the mystery card. I think it's brilliant, but I think that Brother John Hammond still does the best version of it, and that was published, back in the 70s? Okay, so the next question is from Antonio Diaz Ballesteros, and Antonio says, hey Craig, could you review The Challenge by Maria López? It's in new release on Chinese Coins and String. I've been waiting since watching Chris Ramsey's video on FISM this summer, and it looks awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw him perform this at the session, and he was selling them afterwards, and by the time I'd got over there, he'd sold out, and I was really gutted about it. So my interest was piqued back in the session. But I have got one on its way, so it is coming, and yes, it will get reviewed. As soon as it gets here, I will review it. But I mean, I'm holding out hope because it looks very good. Okay, so the next question is from John Treadmajor, and John Treadmajor says, hey Craig, I'm very impressed with Ryland's ability. For a boy who's just turned 10, he has more chops than most magicians that I've ever seen, and he has performed so much. How many times in a month does he gig? Can you please let me know? Thanks very much. Okay, so, right, yeah, one of the things that I wanted with Ryland, and he's obsessed about magic, and I've talked about this on the channel before, I'm not going to dwell on it, but if you go back and watch the very first episode of the review show, and then you go and look at him now, you'll see a polar world of difference. Like, he was like barely able to say boo to a ghost when the first review show went up, and then you look at him now, massive difference, right? Couple of things about Ryland. So first of all, he improves all of the time. Like, we've just come back from doing a 3-day run at the House of Secrets, where he was doing some incredible magic. I mean, He's constantly working on something new for the House of Secrets. He's constantly working on something new for his next performance. He doesn't want to dwell on the tricks that he does. He's always working on something new, which I think is very commendable, and I think it's very important that you do that, or at least I think so. Maybe that's trickled down to him. But you know, this last run at the House of Secrets, he was doing stuff like the Sweep prediction and the Mark South, the Lego thing, which was incredible. The Dancing Cane, Snowstorm, a whole bunch of stuff to music. He's currently practicing the manipulating balls, and he's getting manipulation lessons and so on and so forth. He's always working on something new. And if you look at his BGT performance when he was on BGT, and you look at the stuff that he's doing now, he's become a much better performer since BGT. He's been performing a lot more regularly since BGT than he had up until BGT, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that the important thing about that is flight time. I think one thing that Ryland gets, and it's one thing that I've tried to install into him, is there is absolutely no substitute to flight time. If you want to get good at anything, you just have to go out and do it over and over again, because the more you do something, the better you get at it. And it's not being intentional, but Ryland has become more of a stage magician than a close-up magician. He does do close-up magic, but it's definitely not the thing that he's most excited about. The thing he's most excited about is performing on stage, and that's what he kind of focuses on, if that makes sense. He prefers doing magic on stage than he does close-up, which is kind of weird. You don't see that as much these days. But in terms of how many gigs he does, I mean, obviously he's a regular performer at the House of Secrets. So he's constantly going up. At least once a month for a run, he'll be at the House of Secrets. Sometimes like a couple of runs a month. You know, in August, in the summer holidays, he was there for like a 10-day period, I think it was. So he regularly performs at the House of Secrets. He's got his own residency where he does close-up magic. He does a lot of gigs with me. So we do a 2-person show, and we go out and perform that 2-person show a fair amount, quite a bit. Nowhere near as much as he does perform on his own, but we do this 2-person show. And he's in the Illusion show, obviously, a lot. So when the Illusion show goes out, he's one of the people that gets in the boxes and disappears and appears and so on and so forth. Private gigs, he gets a lot of kids gigs. In fact, we have to turn them down. He gets too many inquiries for kids gigs. And he gets quite a lot of stage work as well. And gigs for, you know, he's just took a corporate booking, which was hilarious. And he gets booked a lot for sort of events. So Magic Sam has got this event on the 29th of December that he's booked Ryland for. And Ryland's been booked to do a couple of dates at the at Drayton Manor Hotel. What else? He's doing the Christmas dinner for the Blackpool Magicians Club in December. He's got a couple of corporate gigs on the weekends in December as well. So it keeps himself busy. But for him, the most important thing is flight time and performance. Every time he goes out, he gets better and he gets better and he gets better. And I think that's important. And I think that's the biggest advice I can give anybody. Practice, practice, practice is great, but going out and performing is even better. If you want to see what he's up to, you know, go and check out his website. He's got a website. We don't really promote it, but it's up to date with all of the stuff that he's doing or he's done. It's www.rylandpetty.com or www.thekidmagician.co.uk. Is it .com? I don't know. Let's have a look. There you go, rylandpetty.com or thekidmagician.com. I think thekidmagician.com takes you to the same place. No, not yet. No, it doesn't. So Ryland Petty. Ryland Petty, yeah. rylandpetty.com. That's the one you want. That takes you through to his website. He's got a show reel on there. He's got a whole bunch of videos on there. So if you want to find out more about Ryland, go to rylandpetty.com. Okay, so the next question is from Timothy Elavion. And Timothy says, "Hi Craig, I really like your card in the box routine. I was wondering if I could learn it somewhere. Would that be possible on the Netrix? Is it a download? Thanks very much for your work and videos." Yeah, so the card in the box routine is on my Penguin Live. So if you want to get access to it immediately, it's on my Penguin Live. I did it in front of a live audience at Penguin and then explained it in great detail with Eric Tate. That was fun. It's not on the Netrix. It is something that we've kind of got on our, we've got a massive whiteboard with all different routines that we've got like the next year planned out, but we're always moving them around and changing things around. And it is on the whiteboard to be put on the Netrix at some point, but not anytime soon because we've got a bunch of other content that we're putting up first. So it will go on the Netrix eventually, but if you want access to learn it immediately, I would suggest going to Penguin Magic and picking up my Penguin Live, because I taught it there and I did a live performance in front of the P3 Theatre and then explained it in great detail and broke down everything. And I actually, for the first time, talked about how to actually use Chop as a finale to that routine so that you can actually have a signed card, a mystery card basically, ironically, talking about mystery card earlier. You take a card, you don't let anyone see what it is, and you fold it up and you put it inside a cup. You put the cup to one side, you do the card in the box routine, and at the end you go back to the cup that's got the folded up card inside. You tip it out into the spectator's hands, and when you do, they unfold it and it's their card, and it is that clean. And I perform that as part of the routine, and I explain it as well. So that's on the Penguin Live. Okay, the next one's from Francis McAllister, and Francis says, "Hey Craig, here's my question for next week. Have you ever been to Las Vegas? If you have, what's the worst and best magic show you've seen there? Also, if you could have any residency in any hotel in Vegas, what hotel would you choose?" The Kitchen Magician. Oh, you're the Kitchen Magician. Hello. I hope you're well. So, good questions. Have I been to Vegas? Yes, multiple times. I'm trying to think how many. Well, the big one is I got married in Vegas. It's not as seedy as it sounds. It was planned. So my wife has a very big family, and I don't have a very big family. And we were planning our wedding, and there were people trying to dictate how we were getting married and what we were going to do and where we were going to get married, and it felt like it was spiraling out of our control. So I said to her, why don't we just plan a wedding ourselves in Vegas, and we just won't tell anyone, and we'll go over there and we'll get married and we'll let them know when we're there, and we'll have a big party when we got back. And that's what we did. We went over to Vegas, and we sent an email to all of her family saying, hey, Craig and Sarah here, we're in Vegas, we're getting married tomorrow, go onto this website at this time and you can log in and you can watch it. We'll be back, and we can have a party when we get back. Bye. And that's what we did. We got married in Vegas, and it was the best decision we made. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, as a side note, and as a bonus, and this was an added bonus that I wasn't expecting, her mum and dad didn't speak to me for about 3 years for that, so that was also a plus point. There was literally no downside to that plan. But yeah, we so that got married in Vegas, and we saw a lot of shows when we were over there, including The Amazing Jonathan. We watched to see The Amazing Jonathan. Saw Penn and Teller. That was our wedding night entertainment. So after we got married, we went to the Rio and we got married. We watched Penn and Teller, which was an amazing show. And I've been since a few times. Most recently to do Magic Live, but before that, I did Magic Live again. I've done 3 Magic Lives, I think, at this point. Possibly 2 or 3, I can't remember. And I've been there for one other point as well, and I can't remember. So I've been there about 4 times, maybe, something like that. And every time I've gone, I've seen magic shows. What's my favourite magic show when I've been over there? Very difficult to say. I'd say Penn and Teller up there, if not the best. I'm a big Penn and Teller fan. So I'd say Penn and Teller up there. I think it would have to be Penn and Teller. I think it'd have to be Penn and Teller. I'm trying to think of anybody. They were all good. You asked what's the worst magic show I've ever seen in Vegas. I haven't seen a bad magic show. I've only ever seen the good ones. I've only ever seen really good magic shows. Amazing Jonathan was amazing. That was really good. Matt King was great. I don't know. I'm going to go for Penn and Teller. I'm going to go, No, I'll tell you what I'm going to go for. There's one that's better than Penn and Teller. One of the times I went to watch Magic Live, I saw the Carnival of Wonders show, and they had it as Magic Live. Carnival of Wonders has to be my favourite show of all time. Jeff Hobson, Ginger Lee, just an amazing show. some incredible illusions, some incredible set pieces. The thing at the end when the entire set goes down into the bag was just brilliant. Carnival of Wonders. I would have to say, yeah, Carnival of Wonders. That's the one. That's the best magic show I've ever seen in Vegas. And if I could play any room, what would I play? Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't know. I really don't know. The Penn and Teller Theatre. Is it the Rio that they're at? The Penn and Teller Theatre. That would be cool. I would love to just go and be part of their show just once. That would be a huge bucket list thing. I can't see it ever happening. But that would be just one of the coolest things ever. If I could even just be in that theatre to do one trick as part of their show, that would be amazing. So let's go with them. Okay, so the next question is from Daniel Carter. And Daniel says, hey Craig, I just got Chop and I love it. What's your opinion on using it as a switch? For example, if you wanted to switch a gimmicked $1 bill for a $5 bill or a non-gimmicked $1 bill, you can load the $5 bill in the cup and then put the gimmick bill into the cup and dump everything in your hand on the table while keeping it in place using the other part of the gimmick. I've tried not to expose too much. I know, I understand exactly what you're talking about. And you know what? I had that idea when I was coming up with Chop. I had the idea of doing a transposition between two bills and having, just borrowing two bills in a cup and having a $1 bill and having a $5 bill and having transposition routines between them and switching back and forth. And the reason that works is because bills in America all look the same when they're scrunched up. So you can not really tell the difference between a 1 or a 5 or a 10 or a 20. Whilst in the UK, you can see a massive difference. The reason that never went on the project is because I don't believe in putting anything on a project if I haven't worked it in. And because I'm based in the UK, the routine wouldn't have worked with my bills. And so I had no way of working it in because it would have been weird to bring out bills that are American. I'm okay with bringing coins out that look like old collector's items, but just to randomly bring out American bills I think would be weird when I can borrow an English note, right? So because I couldn't work it in, I wasn't able to put the routine together. And what I didn't want to do is put something on the project that wasn't worked in, or get over to America and quickly work the routine in. I just didn't want to do that. So, but you know, if you're based in the States, yes, the whole principle of your bills looking the same when they're scrunched up is amazing, because what you can do is you can take Chop and you can do transposition. So just expand on that idea a bit, Daniel. You've got this amazing idea of a 1 switching into a 5. Absolutely. Now think about this for a minute. Imagine if that gimmicked bill is basically the equivalent of a universal shell. So now you borrow a 10 and have it signed. You borrow a 5 and you have it signed. You now, in essence, you've got your one ahead that you can switch in and out at will. So there's so much you can do there. You can do multiple switching routines, multiple transposition routines. There's so much you can do. So yeah, you're absolutely on the right wavelength. And I'd love to see a routine. If you can put that together, I would love to see it. Okay, so the next question is Jonah Berg. And Jonah says, out of all the tricks you do, which gets the best reactions? I mean, all of my... If a trick didn't get a good reaction, I wouldn't do it. There's tricks that I've created, that I've put together, that I've took out into the real world, and it's not got the reaction I was looking for, so I've ended up not keeping it in my set. In order for something to stay in my set, it's got to get a good reaction. However, probably close up, the thing that gets the strongest reaction is the monster coin routine that went up on the Netrix last week. So if you remember the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. Go check out the monster coin routine. I did a performance of it on a Magic Live about 2 weeks ago. That is my favorite routine to do when I'm walking up to a group cold, because I've done it a billion times and I just know that it's just going to slay people. I've done it on stage, I've done it close up, I've done it walk around, I've done it to big tables. It's one of those routines that I've done in every single scenario you can imagine, and it always plays and plays big. So I'd say that the monster coin routine from a close-up point of view, and from a stage point of view, I'd probably say my version of what's it called? My version of The Cards Across by Scott Alexander. which I've talked about many times on this video, on this channel, and I can't remember now for the life of me. It's the cards across where you've got a handkerchief in front of their crotch and you see the handkerchief move up as the cards go across. I've got my own version of it, which is quite different to Scott. Superfly, that's it, it's called Superfly. So my version of Superfly, which I've performed on stage again 1 billion times. It's one of those routines that I kind of think of as my 1,000 timer, in that I've done it so many times. I just know the reaction I'm going to get from it is going to be strong, and I know it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard every single time I do it. So I'd probably say on stage that definitely. So on stage Superfly, and close up the monster coin routine. Okay, so the next question is from Seth Howard, and Seth says, I haven't heard you speak too much on it. Do you have any advice on how to make working with invisible thread not a complete pain in the ass? Yeah, I mean, my advice to you when it comes to invisible thread is just practice, man. It's like anything else, it's practice. I've traditionally never been very good with invisible thread. I now use gravity. I've had to get better because Ryland does the dancing hank in his stage show. He does the dancing cane in his stage show. He's really into routines that have things float. So I've had to learn more about invisible thread, and I've been using gravity in my own work. So I do use thread a lot more. The piece of advice I would give you is, if you're wanting to use thread, two pieces of advice. One, start with loops, or ties, as Penguin are now marketing them as. Ties are a much cheaper version of loops. Loops, ties, whatever you want to call them, they're a great way to get into thread without having to deal with reels breaking and trying to rethread them and trying to, that is pain. When you first start, you're going to break stuff all the time. I would get a ton of ties or loops and just start playing around with them. And they are going to break. The first time you get them, they're going to break as you get good at it. But then as you continue to use them, you're going to get better and better and better, and then they won't break as much. It's the same with anything. When Ryland first started doing the dancing cane, every 3 seconds the thread snapped. And now he can do like 10 shows without it snapping. So just start with ties or loops, because that will allow you to see the reactions you can get from thread work, and they're relatively inexpensive, and if they break you can throw it away and grab another one. Buy a bunch of them because they will break. That will allow you to get used to the right touch when it comes to invisible thread, and then you can progress onto something else, like a reel, like gravity, like a spider pen or whatever. But when you do that, buy some DVDs on the subject, buy some downloads on the subject. Don't just buy it and just go with the instructions. Actually go and buy some, a lot of stuff by Tom Wright's great. The Gravity project, very expensive, but the download and the tutorial that Tom put together with it was absolutely brilliant. Like probably one of the best instructional tutorials for anything like this I've ever seen. So I advocate Gravity because it's such an in-depth teaching tool, and it's also a really good prop as well. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, and Adrian says, what tricks can be done with a copper silver coin but without a shell? What tricks can be done with a copper silver coin without a shell? I mean, there's hundreds of them. If you go on YouTube, can you search on YouTube for this? Let's see. Purple and green coin routine. If you go on, Purple and Green Transpo by Craig Petty. If you go on YouTube and type in purple and, use the ampersand, Purple and Green Transpo by Craig Petty, that's one of my favorite routines with a copper silver coin. Now I'm using a custom copper silver coin there, but it's still a copper silver coin. So you can still, you can transfer that to a $50 and, an English penny, absolutely no problem. But that purple and green transpo will give you an idea of what you can do with just a copper silver coin. And if you want to learn it, it's on the Netrix, so yay. But you can do some very, very clean sort of transpo type routines with a copper silver coin. I mean, there's an awful lot more that you can do as well. So if you want to, again, go on YouTube, I'm sure it's... so go on Google and type in free will coins across. you will come up with a link to a landing page on the Netrix. And that landing page will give you a full performance and trailer for Free Will Coins Across. I've also done it on YouTube if you want to search on YouTube. But Free Will Coins Across, well, let's read the description. Free Will Coins Across is one of the coin routines Craig is most proud of. Very true. It's basically a coins across, however, there's an extra element added. The coins are all different and the spectator can decide the order in which the coins go across. There is no force. Whichever order they say, you do exactly that. It adds an extra interactive element to your typical coins across routine. And that's exactly what happens. You show a copper coin, you show a silver coin, you show a Chinese coin. You put the 3 coins in your hand, you make a fist, and you say you're going to make them jump into this hand, and you're not going to open this hand until all 3 jumped across. You then get them to decide the order, and there's no force. Whichever one they say, you make go across, then you make the next one go across, then you make the next one go across, and then you open up your hand and you show it's empty, and the coins have gone across in the order in which you said, and that uses a copper silver coin. So yeah, there's an awful lot you can do with a copper silver coin. There's a lot. Now, there's an old DVD. I bet I can't find this. I think it's called Attack of the Copper Silver Coin. Attack of the Copper Silver Coin. Attack of the Copper Silver Coin. Yes, there you go. It's still available from a couple of places by the looks of it. So it's called Attack of the Copper Silver Coin. It had Dave Forrest. It was put out by Full 52. And it has Dave Forrest and Cameron Francis in it. And it was a really cool, basically DVD where they just looked into 10 routines using a copper silver coin. And there's some really, really good ones on there as well. So have a look at that. It's incredible. It's a really good DVD. The other thing that I would say is Metal Sheep. Look at Metal Sheep by Gary Jones. That went, I think that's in one of his books. It was part of the Ammo set, and it was part of Automia, or something like that. And that's a really good self-working coin trick using a copper silver coin. So, and there's a bunch more on the Netrix. I'm doing a video soon on the best tricks with the copper silver coin that you've ever seen before. So look out for that, because that is going on the Netrix soon. On YouTube. It's going on YouTube soon, and there is a load more copper silver coins that are going up on the copper silver coin routines that are going up on the Netrix as well soon. So look out for it. The video will be dropping in the next couple of weeks on YouTube, but hopefully that'll give you a starting point of a few different routines that you can try. Okay, so the next question is Mike Tyson by TKO. And Mike Tyson says, "Hey Craig, thanks for all you do. Very much appreciated. Here's my question. You know the stage parlor gag where you vanish a ball or any item by tossing it over the spectators' heads to somebody else? The spectator has no idea, but the crowd loves it. Is there a resource for other types of gags at the spectator's expense, but the crowd's enjoyment? My goal is just for it to be funny and lighthearted. I don't want to really make fun of the spectator. I want it to be fun for everybody." What you're talking about there is Paper Balls Over the Head, which was by Slidini. And it was the whole idea of, you know, you're throwing the balls over the head. Nobody is aware of that except for the spectator. And it's incredible. My friend Nemid Phoenix, who I'm sure you guys know, who is, for my money, the best close-up magician in the UK, bar none. So Nemid Phoenix does it on his stage show, just as a throwaway bit, as part of this. He's got a version of Tom Begonia's Timmy toilet paper routine. And as part of the Timmy toilet paper routine, when he gets it wrong and all the paper's on the floor, he picks it up and he does the paper balls over the head bit. And it's just one little throwaway bit in a longer routine. So the whole routine isn't about that moment. And that was really, every time I see Nemid do that, I think I should steal it, and I never do. Genius guy. There's lots of other routines that are kind of the same sort of thing. From the top of my head, because what you're doing here is normally you have a magical payoff. So with the paper balls over the head, yeah, you're throwing them over the head. The spectator's not aware of it, the audience are, but there is some sort of magical payoff at the end depending on the routine. There are other routines like that. So off the top of my head, the Sean Farquhar book test, I can't remember what it's called. I do it, I can't remember it, what it's called. It's the one where you have a spectator up on stage and you give them a book. And you tell them you stand back to back, and you tell them you're going to open up the book at any page, and you're going to try and use your memory and tell them what word's on that page. And when you're standing back to back, what the spectator doesn't realise is that you've got an identical book in your pocket. And when they tell you the page number, you open up to that page number and you're reading out whatever it is that they're looking at. And then you kind of put the book down by your side and you come back round and you go, isn't that amazing? So it's the same sort of thing from the audience's point of view. They can see that you've got a duplicate book and you're just reading what the spectator's looking at. The spectator is absolutely amazed. And you can do that 2 or 3 times. Turn to a different page, right? You've got a different page. What's the page number? 63, right? Look at the final paragraph. Let me see if I can read that. Dig deep into my memory. That is an incredible trick. And it's the same thing as paper balls over the head. Sean Farquhar book routine. Can't remember. Why can't I not remember? I can't find it. What's it called? Sheer Luck. That's it. Sheer Luck. There you go. It's called Sheer Luck. And it's published that in about 1,000 different languages. That's a very similar thing. Very, very similar thing to paper balls over the head. The only difference is that you're using, it's the same framing, which is the audience is in on the trick. The only person who's not in on it is the volunteer on stage with you. But then there's a magical payoff. And in the Sean Farquhar routine, the magical payoff is that, you show at the end that all of the pages are blank and you weren't even looking at a book. And it was like, a joke all the way through. Perfect. Sheer Luck is great. And talking about books, kind of another version of that is Cody Fisher's comedy book test, which, on particularly the phase with the joke book, which is based on the sex test by Wayne Dobson, which is, if you haven't seen it, you have a spectator look at a book and think of a word. And they think of the word, and they're thinking of eat. And you say to the audience, I think I've got the word. I'm going to write it down. And you write down fart. And you're holding this, and you go, well, that's the word I think you've got. Let me ask you a few questions. Do you do this in public? Yes. Do you do this in a restaurant? Yes. Do you teach your kids how to do this? Yes. And it's really funny because they can see fart. It's kind of a dual reality thing. The spectators thinking eat, and all of the answers are the same, whether it's eat or fart. It's the same with Wayne's original version. And then the payoff at the end is that when they turn around they've been holding the word that you wrote, which was fart, and when they turn it around at the end, it's eat. And the joke is on the whole audience, but all the way through, the audience are in on this gag, and the only person who's not is the person that you've got on stage. That's another example, slightly different, but it's still another example. The mechanical prediction by Billy McComb. That's kind of, in a way, a similar sort of thing. So if you don't know what that is, you have a prediction that you show the audience, and then you say that you've got all of these cards that are different, and you show the cards and they're all exactly the same. And you say you're going to teach the audience how to do a trick. So the audience can see that all the cards are the same. So when the spectator picks a card, the prediction is going to be correct. So you show the prediction and you ask the spectator the card, and they've picked a different card. And up until that moment, the audience are in on it, and then it's a really funny moment because obviously they've picked a different card, which makes no sense, and then you magically change the prediction. If you saw Britain's Got Talent, you saw John Archer do a version of the mechanical prediction, but with cola bottles and Fanta bottles, which again was a really nice way of doing it and a really nice structure, and that used the astounding bottle or the amazing bottle by Miranda. There's lots of different routines out there that have that same similar structure of the audience being in on it, and the only person on stage who's not in on it is the person on stage. But I think that when you do any routine like that, there's got to be a magical payoff. You don't just want to take the piss out of the person on stage over and over again and then send them back to the seat. I think there has to be some sort of magical payoff. But maybe I'll do a video on it and like different routines like that. And they were just off the top of my head. I know there's an awful lot more. I did a version of that sort of thing on the ProCaps DVD project. But I know that there's lots more out there. So if you want to see a video on a subject like that, let me know and I'll put it together. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, would you publish a book? Answer, yes, 100%. In fact, I've been writing one for the last year. What I plan on doing with it yet, I'm not 100% sure. I'm speaking to various different people and sources and so on and so forth. But writing a book is on my bucket list. It's one of my goals that I want to achieve in the next few years. So yes, I am currently writing a book. I was hoping I could get it out for Blackpool this year. That is absolutely 100% definitely not going to happen. But a book, for sure, yes, going to happen. Niti says, I absolutely hate the word routine being used in magic. Whoever came up with that first. I don't have a problem with it. It's a magic routine. It's a routine. Routine for me is the whole bit. It's not just it's not just part of it, it's the whole bit. This is the routine. I'm going to show you the routine. But here's the thing, if you don't like the word, use a different word. You don't have to get offended by it. It's a word. Use something else. Use banana, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Whoever came up with it, I don't see an issue with it, to be honest. Don't see an issue with it. It's not like we ever use the word routine to lay people. Right, I'm now going to show you my next magic routine. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. I think it's just a word that's used amongst magicians to talk about something that they're about to show another magician. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a bunch of people out there using the word routine in their shows. I don't know. Let me know. But here's the thing. If you don't like the word, don't use it. Okay, so the next question again is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, is the Michael Rubenstein coin magic book for beginners? Not really. I think you have to have some chops with coins. I would start off with an easier book, like maybe Bobo's or you know, something like that, or the Metal series by Eric Jones, or some of Justin Miller's stuff, or the New York Guys Symposium DVDs, which you can get from many different places. I'd start with some easier material before you go into Michael's book. Michael's book is amazing, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's a beginner book. I think you are expected to have some chops with coins before you kind of jump into that book. Okay, so the next question again is by Jonah Berg, and he says, what are the top 1914 products of all time? Good question. I'm not going to include my own products because I've got a couple of things with 1914. Let me go on their website and let me go into Magic Tricks and view all, and I'll tell you the top 5. Right, number 1 has to be the Orphic wallet. I think the Orphic wallet is amazing. I've got 2 of them. Ryland's got one. It's my everyday wallet. So let's go number 1. Orphic wallet. Number 2, I'm going to go with Eclipse. I think it's a truly game-changing approach to marked ESP cards. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So we're going to go with Eclipse there. I think Eclipse is brilliant. And then number 3, I'm going to go with Overdraft. I carry Overdraft around with me in my Orphic wallet. It's part of my EDC. I think it's brilliant, so I'm going to go with that. Number 4, I think I'm going to go with Prohibition Monty by Alan Rorison. I keep it in my wallet and I do it all of the time. I think it's amazing. And number 5, I'm going to go with I don't see it there, but it's got to be on there somewhere. The Art of Stagecraft. There you go. The Art of Stagecraft by, oh my God, Alexander Marsh. The Art of Stagecraft by Alexander Marsh. If you want to perform on stage, I don't think there's a better resource out there to teach you stagecraft than The Art of Stagecraft by Alexander Marsh. And I really sincerely hope that the 1914 do more of those Art of series in the coming weeks, months and years. So there you go, that's the top 5, but I know they've got some other stuff coming out, which is really cool. Okay, so the next question is again by Jonah Berg. Man, he's asking a lot of questions. What are the best 3 coin tricks that you do? What are the best 3 coin tricks that I do? Number 1, I'm going to go with the Monster Coin routine, which is on the Netrix. Number 2, I'm going to go for, my gosh, there's so many different routines that I've come with over the years. Number 2, I'm going to have to go for Security Pen, which again is on the Netrix. It's my walk around multi-phase coin and pen cap routine that I absolutely love. And number 3, I'm going to go with Finally Flipped off the Mirage coin set, which I love and I perform all of the time and has become one of my favourite walk around pieces. So there you go. Finally Flipped at number 3, Number 2 was Security Pen. And number 1 is the Monster Coin routine. Oh my God, I'm going to put Thud in there as well, which is a project at some point coming out with Penguin. So there you go. That's what I would say. But if I thought about it any longer, I'll probably change those around. But I think that's where I'm at right now. Okay, one final question from Jonah Berg, which is, what are some new exciting products coming out within the next month or so? That's oddly specific, in the next month or so. Well, Hard Stretch has just come out from ACAAN. I think that's one of the best rubber band routines that's ever been created. I know that very, very soon there's going to be a new trick coming out from Murphy's, which is mine, which I think that people are going to absolutely love. There's a new coin trick coming out soon through ACAAN as part of their Mirage range, which I think is very, very exciting. 1914 have got some great releases coming out that I can't talk about. The problem is I can't talk about a lot of this stuff. Makes it very, very difficult. Dex by Lloyd Barnes and Javier Fuenmayor is, I think, going to be a game changer for a lot of people. And I think that's going to be a routine that's just going to literally change the game and then some. Trying to think of anything else. There's a trick that at some point will see the light of day by Angelo Carbone. When it does come out, I think that that's going to be the trick of the year. Whenever that's released, whenever it comes out, it's going to be trick of the year. No one's even going to be able to come close to touch it. So there you go. That's some stuff that I know that's coming out soon-ish that I think is really good. I've got a feeling, we talked about it earlier, but that Mario López trick, the challenge, which is based on Charming Chinese Challenge by Troy Hooser, having seen it at the session, I have a feeling that that's going to be very, very, very well received. I think that people are going to love that, and that's coming out like now. So I think that's a big one, but I don't know for sure because I've not properly seen it. But from what I have seen, I think it could be a bit of a game changer when it comes to coin magic. I missed one. We got one more from Jonah Berg. What's the very best any card at any number that you've ever seen? Quantum Deck, simple as, bottom line. Quantum Deck's amazing. For me, although ACAAN by Matt Mello is brilliant. It's one of my most performed walk-around pieces. I love ACAAN, and I have done for the last decade. Pete Turner does some incredible any card at any number routines. I mean, there's one on the new Illusionist thing that looks amazing that I saw a video for the other day. I'll hold judgment. Well, I'm not going to get it, but I mean, I'm going to withhold judgment because all I'm seeing is a live performance, but it looks very good. One of the best any card at any numbers that you can do is with a Mirage deck. I do any card at any number in my stage show, and I use a Mirage deck to do it, and it just kills, absolutely kills. Like, it's one of the strongest any card at any numbers that you could ever do. So there's that. I'm quite partial to the one that I put on Forecast, in all honesty. If you've seen my Forecast project, I put a variation of it on the Boombox project by Andrew Niner. But that whole idea of having two decks, and I know some people don't like working with two decks, and that's fine. But that whole idea of working with two decks, and you know, you've got that any card at any number concept using two decks, I think that that's really strong. Obviously, you have to think about the Barry Richardson any card at any number, which I think is a really great any card at any number. The Brent Braun one that you put out through Penguin Magic, Position Impossible, that's a really great any card at any number as well. There's loads out there that are really good that I love, but those are the ones that spring instantly to mind. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Do me a favour. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you once again for asking questions. This Q&A wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you guys asking questions. So thank you so much. Now, as normal, if you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again later on today at 6 o'clock with a live, and then at 9 o'clock I'm going to be back with a review show special. And this week I'm going to be looking at Hard Stretch by Roman Armstrong, and I've even got an interview with him. We're going to dissect Hard Stretch and talk about what it's really like. So you're going to go and check that out. If you want to, you can. It's dropping at 9 o'clock. And then finally, if you haven't already joined the Netrix, please do so. It's www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. You can get access immediately and see what all the fuss is about. Honestly, I think it's the best thing in Magic. But then again, I'm biased. But If I don't believe in it, why would anybody else believe in it as well? And, you know, the fact that we've got a very, very, very low cancellation rate and the fact that so many of our subscribers rave about it, it shows me that I'm definitely heading in the right direction. If you want to check it out, you can. Either way, I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.